going into therapy then and learning why I did certain things, and then taking those steps forward enabled me to
He was Hollywood's golden boy, the heartthrob who had it all. Women wanted him, men wanted to be him, and the camera couldn't get enough of that face. But somewhere along the way, things went terribly wrong. Today, we're looking back at the incredible rise and devastating fall of one of the most talented actors of the 1980s. This is what happened to Mickey Rourke, and how his life is ruined now. The early years. Philip Andre Rourke Jr. was born on September 16, 1952, in Schenectady, New York. Most people know him as Mickey, but his childhood was anything but the glamorous Hollywood life he'd later experience. When Mickey was just 6 years old, his father walked out on the family. His mother, Annette, eventually remarried a Miami Beach police officer named Eugene Addis, who brought his own 5 sons into the household. The family moved to South Florida, settling in Miami Shores. It wasn't an easy childhood for young Mickey. He's spoken openly about the abuse he endured from his stepfather for nearly a decade. That pain shaped him, made him tougher, and pushed him toward finding an outlet for all that anger and frustration. At 12 years old, Mickey found boxing. He started training at the Boys Club of Miami, then moved on to the legendary Fifth Street Gym in Miami Beach, the same place where Muhammad Ali trained. This wasn't just a hobby for Mickey. He was good. Really good. At age 12, he won his first match as a 118-pound bantamweight. By the time he was a teenager, he was sparring with former world welterweight champion Luis Rodriguez. That session earned him a concussion, but it didn't stop him. Mickey compiled an impressive amateur record of 27 wins and only 3 defeats. 17 of those wins came by knockout. At one point, he had 12 consecutive first-round knockouts, but those victories came with a price. In 1971, at the Florida Golden Gloves, Mickey suffered another serious concussion. Doctors told him to take a year off from boxing. He was at a crossroads. Discovering acting. During his forced break from boxing, a friend at the University of Miami was directing a play called Death Watch. The actor playing Green Eyes had quit, and Mickey stepped in. Something clicked. He'd actually done a small role in a high school play called The Serpent back at Miami Beach Senior High School, but he'd been more focused on baseball and boxing at the time. This time was different. Mickey took $400 from his sister and moved to New York to study acting. He enrolled at the Actors Studio with legendary teacher Sandra Seacat. His first audition was so impressive that Elia Kazan, the director of On the Waterfront, called it the best audition he'd seen in 30 years. Mickey started getting small television roles in the late 1970s. His film debut came in 1979 with a tiny part in Steven Spielberg's 1941. But nobody noticed. He kept grinding, taking whatever work he could get, appearing in TV movies and small parts. Then, in 1981, everything changed. The breakthrough. Mickey landed a role in Body Heat, a steamy neo-noir thriller starring William Hurt and Kathleen Turner. Mickey's part wasn't huge, but his presence was magnetic. He played an arsonist named Teddy, and despite limited screen time, he stole every scene he was in. Roger Ebert called it his breakthrough role and the best supporting work in the film. Hollywood took notice. The following year, 1982, Mickey starred in Barry Levinson's Diner, alongside a cast of up-and-coming actors including Steve Guttenberg, Daniel Stern, Kevin Bacon, Paul Reiser, and Tim Daly. Mickey played Boogie Sheftel, a suave, compulsive gambler and hairdresser trying to navigate life in 1950s Baltimore. The performance was electric. The National Society of Film Critics named him Best Supporting Actor that year. Critics were calling him the next Marlon Brando, the next James Dean. Pauline Kael wrote that he had an edge and a magnetism and a pure, sweet smile that surprises you. Bob Dylan later said of Mickey's work, "He could break your heart with a look. Nobody could hold a candle to him." The hits kept coming. In 1983, Mickey starred in Francis Ford Coppola's Rumblefish, playing the motorcycle boy opposite Matt Dillon. The black and white art film showcased Mickey's range and intensity. That same year, he appeared in The Outsiders, also directed by Coppola. In 1984, Mickey took on the role of Charlie Moran in The Pope of Greenwich Village, alongside Eric Roberts and Daryl Hannah. The film wasn't a box office smash, but Mickey's performance caught the attention of critics who saw something special in his rough-edged charisma. Then came 1985's Year of the Dragon, directed by Michael Cimino. Mickey played Stanley White, a rogue cop taking on Chinatown drug cartels. The role was controversial, violent, and showed Mickey transforming from sympathetic existentialist to violent nihilist with frightening ease. Sex symbol status. In 1986, Mickey became a household name and an international symbol with 9.5 Weeks, opposite Kim Basinger. The erotic drama about a sadomasochistic relationship between a Wall Street broker and an art gallery employee was campy, controversial, and incredibly successful, especially in Europe. Mickey's portrayal of a sexually obsessed, domineering man who used food as an aphrodisiac put him on the radar of millions of women worldwide. The film's most famous scenes, involving ice cubes, honey, and blindfolds, became part of pop culture. The movie wasn't a massive hit in the United States initially, but in Europe, particularly France, it was a phenomenon. European audiences connected with Mickey's dark, mysterious persona in ways American audiences hadn't yet. The film grossed over $100 million worldwide and cemented Mickey's status as an international star. His chiseled features, those intense eyes, that perfect jawline. Mickey Rourke was everywhere. Magazine covers, talk shows, red carpets. Women sent him love letters by the thousands. He could have any role he wanted. Studios were offering him everything. He was at the absolute peak of Hollywood stardom, the kind of moment most actors dream about their entire lives. But Mickey wasn't satisfied being just a pretty face. In 1987, he took on 2 roles that would define his talent. First came Angel Heart, a horror mystery film directed by Alan Parker. Mickey played Harry Angel, a private detective in 1955 New York, who gets caught up in a supernatural mystery. The film was controversial because of an explicit sex scene with Lisa Bonet from The Cosby Show, but Mickey's performance was riveting. Then came Barfly, where Mickey portrayed Henry Chinaski, the literary alter ego of writer Charles Bukowski. Mickey transformed himself for the role, becoming almost unrecognizable as a drunken, brawling writer with unwashed hair and stubble. It was the opposite of the handsome playboy image from 9.5 Weeks, and critics loved it. This was Mickey at his finest, showing that he could disappear into a character completely. Director Adrian Lyne said that if Mickey had died after Angel Heart, he would have become a bigger phenomenon than James Dean. That's how talented he was. That's how much promise he had. European audiences especially loved him. The French adored his rumpled, slightly dirty, sordid rebel persona. He could do no wrong. The descent begins. But Mickey was growing frustrated. He felt the studios were controlling him, limiting his choices, forcing him into roles he didn't respect. He started turning down major projects. He walked out on films. He publicly criticized the industry that had made him a star. His personal life was equally turbulent. In 1981, he'd married actress Deborah Feuer, whom he met on the set of Hard Case. By 1989, they were divorced. Mickey later admitted that making 9.5 Weeks had been not particularly considerate to his wife's needs. The late 1980s saw Mickey in films like Homeboy, a boxing screenplay he wrote himself, and Francesco, where he played St. Francis of Assisi. These films didn't connect with audiences the way his earlier work had. Then came 1990's Wild Orchid, another erotic drama, this time with Kare Otis. The film was critically panned. Mickey received a Razzie nomination. Something was shifting. The magic wasn't working anymore. In 1991, Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man bombed at the box office despite co-starring Don Johnson. His last role before leaving Hollywood was in White Sands, a stylish but incoherent film noir. Mickey was self-destructing. He later admitted, "I felt that I was self-destructing and had no respect for myself as an actor." In 1991, Mickey made a decision that would change his life forever. He walked away from Hollywood at the height of his career and returned to his first love, boxing, not as a hobby, as a professional fighter. He was 39 years old. Mickey said he had to go back to boxing because he felt he was destroying himself and needed some kind of anchor, some way to feel respect for himself again. Boxing had always been his safe place, his escape from the pressures of life. He trained with former professional boxer Freddie Roach at Miami Beach's 5th Street Gym and the Outlaw Boxing Club Gym in Los Angeles. His trainer during most of his career was Chuck Zito, a Hells Angels member, actor, and celebrity bodyguard who understood the mental game as much as the physical one. Mickey fought professionally from 1991 to 1994. He was undefeated in 8 fights, with 6 wins, 4 by knockout, and 2 draws. He fought internationally in Spain, Japan, and Germany, treating his boxing career with the same intensity he'd once brought to acting. He earned $250 for his pro debut, barely enough to cover training expenses appearances, but by the end of his second year, he'd made $1 million. Boxing magazines loved the story of the Hollywood star who'd walked away from fame to fight. He appeared on the cover of World Boxing magazine in June 1994 with the caption, "Mickey Rourke, acting like a boxer or boxing like an actor." His entrance song into the ring was Guns N' Roses' "Sweet Child of Mine," a detail that would later appear in his comeback film, The Wrestler. Mickey took boxing seriously. This wasn't a publicity stunt or a midlife crisis. He trained hard, sacrificed, and put his body on the line every time he stepped into the ring. Mickey sparred with some of the most dangerous fighters in the world. He traded punches with world champions James Toney, John David Jackson, and Tommy Morrison. These weren't gentle sparring sessions. These were brutal tests of will and endurance. When Mickey got cute during a sparring session with Tommy Hearns, one of the hardest punchers in boxing history, he learned a painful lesson about respect in the ring. He even had a brutal sparring session with former world middleweight champion Carlos Monzon in an Argentine prison. Monzon was serving time for killing his wife, but he agreed to spar with Mickey for a documentary. According to reports, it was a brief, extremely nasty, and embarrassing experience for Mickey. A single blow from Monzon left him unconscious on his back, a reminder that Hollywood toughness is different from real fighting. The physical toll. But boxing is a brutal sport, and Mickey's body paid the price. Over those 3 years, he suffered devastating injuries. His nose was broken twice. He fractured his cheekbone. He broke ribs. His tongue was split. He suffered short-term memory loss from repeated blows to the head. Doctors warned him that continued fighting could result in permanent brain damage. In 1994, Mickey retired from boxing. He'd wanted to have 16 professional fights and then compete for a world title. He never got that chance. The damage was done. Mickey's face, that perfect face that had launched him to stardom, was shattered. His nose was destroyed. His cheekbone was crushed. The symmetry was gone. Mickey needed extensive reconstructive surgery just to look normal again. He had his nose broken twice during boxing, which necessitated 5 operations on his nose alone. He had surgery on his smashed cheekbone. Doctors had to take cartilage from his ear to rebuild his nose, a painful procedure that left visible scars. Then he needed additional operations to scrape out the cartilage because the scar tissue wasn't healing properly. Mickey later said one of these operations was one of the most painful he'd ever experienced. But here's where things went catastrophically wrong. In 2009, Mickey admitted in an interview that became infamous, "Most of it was to mend the mess of my face because of the boxing, but I went to the wrong guy to put my face back together. The wrong surgeon. That single decision, that one choice, would haunt him for the rest of his life." It's the kind of mistake that's impossible to undo. Once you've let someone reshape your face, once the scalpel has done its work, there's no going back to how you looked before. The surgeries didn't just fix his face, they changed it. Dramatically, irreversibly. The reconstructive work on his nose left it looking tight and unnatural, nothing like the perfect nose he'd been born with. The cheekbone repairs altered the symmetry of his face, giving him a fuller, less defined look that aged him beyond his years. His once sharp, masculine jawline, the feature that had helped make him a symbol, became softer, less defined, almost unrecognizable from his youth. And Mickey didn't stop there. Over the years, he underwent multiple facelifts trying to turn back the clock. He had Botox injections to smooth wrinkles, but the treatments left his face looking frozen and expressionless at times. He got cheek implants that some plastic surgeons believe contributed to his dramatically altered appearance. Some procedures were to maintain a youthful appearance. Others were desperate attempts to fix what previous surgeries had ruined, creating a cycle of operations that only made things worse. By the time he returned to acting in the mid-1990s, Mickey Rourke looked like a different person. The Hollywood heartthrob was gone, replaced by someone almost unrecognizable. The wilderness years. The 1990s were brutal for Mickey. He returned to acting, but the roles weren't the same. He couldn't be the romantic lead anymore. His changed appearance limited what directors would cast him in. He appeared in Francis Ford Coppola's The Rainmaker in 1997, a small supporting role. He was in Vincent Gallo's Buffalo 66 in 1998. Steve Buscemi cast him in Animal Factory in 2000. Sean Penn gave him a part in The Pledge in 2001. These were small roles, character parts, nothing like the leading man status he'd once commanded. He also had a lead role in 1997's Double Team, alongside Jean-Claude Van Damme and Dennis Rodman playing the villain. It was his first over-the-top action film role, and it went straight to video in most markets. Mickey co-wrote and starred in Bullet under the pseudonym Sir Eddie Cook, appearing alongside his close friend Tupac Shakur. The film barely got released. He was offered a significant role in Terrence Malick's The Thin Red Line, but his part ended up on the cutting room floor. He filmed another 9.5 weeks, a sequel to his iconic erotic drama, but it only received limited distribution. Mickey later expressed bitterness about this period, saying he came to consider himself a has-been and lived in a state of shame. The industry had moved on, the roles dried up. He was taking whatever he could get, often in direct-to-video productions that nobody watched. The comeback. But Mickey never completely disappeared. In 2003, Robert Rodriguez cast him in Once Upon a Time in Mexico with Antonio Banderas and Johnny Depp. In 2004, Tony Scott gave him a role as a sleazy lawyer in Man on Fire with Denzel Washington. Then, in 2005, came the role that brought Mickey back into the spotlight, Marv in Robert Rodriguez's Sin City. Based on Frank Miller's graphic novels, Mickey played a hulking, disfigured anti-hero in a stylized noir world. The film's innovative visual style and all-star cast helped it gross over $158 million worldwide. Mickey's appearance, altered by surgery and life's hard knocks, actually worked perfectly for the character. He won a Saturn Award for Best Actor. He was back. Directors who appreciated talent over conventional looks started calling again. Mickey appeared in Tony Scott's Domino in 2005. He had supporting roles in genre films, often playing tough guys, criminals, or morally ambiguous characters. Then came 2008 and The Role of a Lifetime. Director Darren Aronofsky cast Mickey in The Wrestler as Randy the Ram Robinson, an aging professional wrestler trying to hold on to his dignity while his body and life fall apart. The parallels to Mickey's own life were impossible to ignore. A former star, beaten down by his choices, trying to make one last comeback. Mickey threw himself into the role. He trained with professional wrestlers. He performed his own stunts. He let the camera see every scar, every line, every bit of damage that life had inflicted on him. The performance was extraordinary, raw, vulnerable, heartbreaking, and real. Critics who had written Mickey off years ago were stunned. This was the Mickey Rourke they remembered, the one with unlimited talent, but now tempered with hard-earned wisdom and pain. Mickey won the Golden Globe Award for Best Actor in a Motion Picture Drama. He won the BAFTA Award for Best Actor. He was nominated for the Academy Award for Best Actor. At the Oscars ceremony, the camera caught him crying when Sean Penn's name was announced as the winner instead. It was Mickey's only Oscar nomination, and he'd lost. But The Wrestler accomplished what Mickey needed most. It proved he could still act. It proved he was still relevant. It gave him his career back. Second chance squandered. Hollywood loves a comeback story, and Mickey was hot again. He appeared in Iron Man 2 in 2010, playing villain Ivan Vanko opposite Robert Downey Jr. It should have been a huge opportunity, but Mickey later expressed disappointment, claiming much of his performance ended up on the cutting room floor. That same year, he joined Sylvester Stallone's The Expendables, an action ensemble with Jason Statham, Jet Li, and other action stars. In 2011, he starred in Immortals, a fantasy film about Greek mythology. These were big-budget Hollywood productions, the kind of films that could have relaunched Mickey's career into the A-list stratosphere. But something was off. Mickey seemed uncomfortable. He later admitted he took some roles just for the money, that he felt distanced from the projects. The momentum from The Wrestler began to fade. Mickey's physical appearance continued to be a topic of conversation, often overshadowing his work. Every public appearance sparked renewed speculation about plastic surgery. Social media was brutal. Mickey has spoken openly about his battles with mental health and addiction over the years. He's dealt with depression, even contemplating suicide at his lowest points. In 1998, his brother Joey prevented him from taking his own life. Joey would later die of lung cancer in 2004 at age 50, a devastating loss for Mickey. Mickey has been married twice. His second marriage to model Carey Otis in 1992 was tumultuous and ended in divorce in 1998. In 1994, Mickey was arrested after allegedly assaulting Otis, though charges were dropped when she didn't appear in court. Otis later wrote about their passionate but destructive relationship in her memoir, describing a love that was intense but ultimately toxic. From 2009 to 2015, Mickey was in a relationship with model Anastasia Makarenko. Since then, he appears to have remained single. The Russia controversy. In November 2014, Mickey briefly returned to the boxing ring at age 62. He fought 29-year-old Elliot Seymour in Moscow in an exhibition match, winning by TKO in the second round. It seemed like a fun publicity stunt for an aging actor to relive his glory days, but later, Seymour revealed he'd been paid $15,000 to take a dive. "I was told specifically to go down in the second," Seymour said. He claimed Mickey didn't know about the fix, that it was arranged by Mickey's people without his knowledge. Whether Mickey was aware or not, the revelation tarnished what had seemed like a triumphant moment. As the 2000s progressed into the 2000s, Mickey's career continued to decline. He worked steadily, but mostly in independent films and direct-to-video productions. The offers for mainstream Hollywood films dried up. His appearance, increasingly altered by continued cosmetic procedures, made it difficult for directors to cast him in traditional roles. In 2019, when Mickey appeared on Good Morning Britain, viewers were shocked by his changed appearance. Social media exploded with comments about how different he looked, how botched his surgeries appeared. Some called it sad, others were cruel. Mickey had become as famous for his surgeries as for his acting. In April 2025, Mickey agreed to appear on Celebrity Big Brother UK. It seemed like a way to stay relevant, to earn a paycheck, to remain in the public eye. It turned into a nightmare. Mickey made inappropriate comments toward fellow housemate Jojo Siwa, an out and proud lesbian. He told her, "If I stay longer than 4 days, you won't be gay anymore." He called her a slur. He said he was going to vote the lesbian out. Jojo was literally in tears from Mickey's behavior. After multiple warnings from production, Mickey was removed from the house. ITV issued a statement. Mickey Rourke has agreed to leave the Celebrity Big Brother house this evening following a discussion with Big Brother regarding further use of inappropriate language and instances of unacceptable behavior. The incident generated international headlines, none of them good. Mickey's behavior was condemned. The appearance fees he'd been promised were reportedly withheld, leading to legal disputes. It was another blow to a career and reputation that had already taken so many hits. Financial ruin. And now, in early 2026, we arrive at perhaps the saddest chapter of Mickey Rourke's story. In December 2025, Mickey was served with a 3-day eviction notice from his Los Angeles rental home. He owed nearly $60,000 in back rent to his landlord, Eric Goldie. The property was a 3-bedroom Spanish bungalow built in 1926 in the Beverly Grove neighborhood, once home to famed author Raymond Chandler. Mickey had signed the lease in March 2025 for $5,200 per month. The rent was later increased to $7,000 per month. He couldn't keep up. According to insiders who spoke to the Daily Mail, Mickey has been living paycheck to paycheck for years. When it comes to his finances, the movies he has been doing don't pay that much for the life he is used to, the source said. Mickey spends money as soon as he makes it, unable or unwilling to adjust his lifestyle to his reduced income. In January 2026, a GoFundMe campaign appeared titled, "Help Mickey Rourke Stay in His Home," seeking $100,000 to cover his rent arrears and keep him from being evicted. The campaign was created by Leah Joelle Jones, described as Mickey's friend and part of his management team, with Mickey's permission. Within 24 hours, fans donated over $60,000. They remembered the talented young actor from Diner and Angel Heart. They felt compassion for the broken man he'd become. But Mickey's reaction shocked everyone. Mickey posted an angry video on Instagram calling the GoFundMe a scam to raise money for me and a cruel embarrassment. He said he was frustrated, confused, and insisted, "If I needed money, I wouldn't ask for no fucking charity." His spokesperson, Kimberly Hines, came forward to clarify that the fundraiser had been created with Mickey's consent, but that he didn't fully understand what it would become. "We said, 'Mickey, there's some people that want to help you out.' He's like, 'Okay, great.' I don't think he understood, and now it's taken on this media frenzy, and he flipped out," Hines explained. Mickey demanded that all donations be refunded. "Truthfully, there is still over $90,000 that still needs to be refunded to concerned parties that sent their money," he wrote. "Please, people, get your money. The person who pulled this crap shouldn't get $1. It was humiliating. Pride preventing him from accepting help when he desperately needed it. The same pride that had led him to walk away from Hollywood 3 decades earlier." Hines warned that her financial support couldn't last forever. "He should probably take this help because unless he goes back to work, I can only finance him for so long. I'm not a Getty, I'm a working woman." More bad news. As if eviction wasn't enough, Mickey's beloved dog Ivan needed surgery that could cost between $10,000 and $18,000. Reports suggest Ivan may need a second surgery, costing an additional $6,000 to $8,000. Mickey has been offered multiple acting roles in recent weeks, at least 6 different projects according to reports. He's turned them all down. An independent film director offered him $1,000 for a 2-minute cameo in a Scarface spin-off. Mickey declined. Pride, standards, or just the exhaustion of a 73-year-old man who's been through too much. Mickey Rourke's estimated net worth is now around $50,000. Just 1 year ago, in early 2025, his fortune was valued at approximately $5 million. That's a catastrophic drop, losing over 99% of his wealth in less than a year. For context, at the height of his career in the 1980s, Mickey was one of the highest paid actors in Hollywood. He should be worth tens of millions. He should be living comfortably off residuals and wise investments. Instead, he's facing eviction, can't afford his dog's surgery, and is turning down work while living paycheck to paycheck. Recent photos of Mickey are shocking. On New Year's Day 2026, paparazzi photographed him at his Los Angeles home receiving food deliveries. He was almost unrecognizable. The surgeries, the years of hard living, the toll of everything he's been through, all visible in his altered features. Insiders say Mickey has lived the life of a rock star with plenty of drug and alcohol abuse over the years. His body shows it. His face shows it. The confident, magnetic young actor from Diner is gone, replaced by a man who looks decades older than his 73 years. What went wrong? So how did we get here? How did one of the most talented, promising actors of his generation end up broke, alone, and facing eviction? The boxing decision was the first major turning point. Walking away from Hollywood in 1991, when he was still bankable, still relevant, cost him momentum he'd never fully regain. The facial injuries and botched surgeries changed his appearance so dramatically that he couldn't return to leading man roles. But Mickey's own choices made things worse. His pride led him to turn down roles, to criticize the industry, to burn bridges. His spending habits never adjusted to his reduced income. His personal struggles with addiction and mental health went unaddressed for too long. The celebrity Big Brother debacle showed that even in his 70s, Mickey still struggles with impulse control and appropriate behavior. The recent GoFundMe incident showed that pride prevents him from accepting help even when he desperately needs it. Beyond the money, beyond the lost career, there's a human being at the center of this story. A man who suffered childhood abuse, who fought his way out of poverty, who had extraordinary talent, who reached incredible heights, and who made choices, some good and some terrible, that led him to where he is today. Mickey has spoken about the darker periods in his life, the moments of profound despair, the times he contemplated ending it all. His brother Joey saved his life in 1998. Joey's death in 2004 was devastating. Mickey credits studying the martial art Hua Rang Do under Grandmaster Tae Jun Lee with turning his life around during some of his darkest times, but the patterns kept repeating: the self-destructive behavior, the inability to accept help, the pride that became a prison. Looking back, it's easy to see the moments where different choices might have led to different outcomes. If Mickey had stayed in Hollywood instead of boxing, his face would still be intact. If he'd chosen a better surgeon, the reconstructive work might not have been so damaging. If he'd managed his money better, invested wisely, adjusted his spending to his reduced income. If. But that's not who Mickey Rourke is. He's never been someone who played it safe, who followed the conventional path, who did what was expected. That rebellious spirit made him a great actor. It also destroyed his career. The legacy. Despite everything, Mickey Rourke's work speaks for itself. Watch Diner today, and you'll see why critics called him the next Brando. Watch Angel Heart, and you'll see the range, the intensity, the raw talent. Watch The Wrestler, and you'll see one of the greatest comeback performances in cinema history. Those films can't be taken away. That talent, even if it's mostly wasted now, was real. For a brief shining moment in the 1980s, Mickey Rourke was everything Hollywood promised him he could be. At 73 years old, facing eviction, with a net worth of $50,000 and declining health, Mickey Rourke's future looks bleak. He's turning down work, refusing charity, alienating the people trying to help him. The reality is harsh. Mickey may end up homeless. Despite all his talent, all his success, all the millions he earned over his career, he could lose everything. Some fans hope for another comeback, another wrestler moment where Mickey proves the doubters wrong. But comebacks require work, discipline, humility, and the willingness to accept help. Mickey has shown he struggles with all of those things. Mickey Rourke's story is more than just Hollywood gossip or celebrity downfall. It's a warning about pride, about addiction, about the cost of unresolved trauma, about the importance of managing success wisely. It's a reminder that talent alone isn't enough, that physical beauty fades, that fame is fleeting, that the choices we make today shape the rest of our lives. Mickey had it all and lost it, not because the industry was cruel, though it was, not because of bad luck, though he had plenty, but because of decisions he made, patterns he couldn't break, demons he couldn't conquer. Final thoughts. The story of Mickey Rourke isn't over yet. He's still alive, still capable of work, still possessing the talent that made him a star. But with each passing day, with each turned down opportunity, with each prideful refusal of help, the chances of a happy ending grow slimmer. We can hope he'll accept help, get back on his feet, make smart choices. We can hope someone will cast him in a role that reminds people why he was once compared to Marlon Brando and James Dean. But hope isn't a plan, and Mickey Rourke has run out of second chances. From the handsome heartthrob of 9.5 weeks to the broken man facing eviction in 2026, Mickey's journey stands as one of Hollywood's most tragic falls from grace. His life isn't just ruined, it's a cautionary tale that will be studied for generations. Remember Mickey Rourke? Now you know why his life is ruined now. If you enjoyed this look back at Mickey Rourke's incredible rise and devastating fall, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more stories about Hollywood's biggest stars. Leave a comment below and let us know your thoughts on Mickey's journey. Thanks for watching.